So I got my first retro haul, so to speak, the other day. But yeah, I just sort of like to go over it. As you can see, it's only 2 boxes worth here. And they're not even completely full. And so that sort of goes to show you what constitutes a retro haul in the sort of area I live in. It's a little bit of a desert for that sort of thing. Like you see other people who are really into collecting old computer stuff, and when they get a retro haul, they're a bit like, oh, just another pallet full of IBM 5160s, no big deal. But for me, when I get 2 boxes of, late 90s, early 2000s things, it's a big deal. But, that's just the way it is. I just have to adjust the way I do things accordingly. So I'll go through this box first. I've sorted this into 2 boxes. This is sort of the box full of stuff I probably don't really have a use for, or maybe don't have a use for yet. But it was quite nice to get them anyway. A bit of backstory, I suppose. So this all came from a local computer store just around the corner. I've always meant to drop in there, just say hi to the guy and maybe see if he had any old computer stuff lying around the back of drawers and things. And finally I decided the other day this was the day, and I did, and I'm glad I did, because I got all this stuff out of there. So so all this stuff that he was just happy to get rid of, had no use for anymore. So let's just get started. So here's 2 things, little hard drive caddies. He seemed pretty keen to offload these, even though he didn't actually have he doesn't actually have the slots that they go into, so little use of me until he finds those. But anyway, moving on, this is a little floppy drive holder. I've taken the floppy drive out of this already. Next, so just a few hard drives here. I believe these are all 40 gigabyte hard drives. That one's 40, that one's 40. No, that's 40 as well. This one looks to be a bit older, but I still believe it's... that's a 40 gigabyte hard drive as well. So so a bunch of just 40 gigabyte hard drives. Something from maybe the XP era. I'm not sure. Don't currently have any plans to make an XP machine. So look, can't hurt to have anyway. I might pop them in my Windows 98 machine anyway, just to really sort of beef it up. Here we have. So this is just. Oh jeez. Put that in there a little bit tight on there. So just like one of these sort of generic sound cards from the last few days of the era when computers didn't have them on board. It's nothing special. It's not a Creative Labs or anything. It's an Advanced Logic. Probably just something that had come with an OEM sort of build, just to give you some basic sound capabilities. But you never know when something like that comes in useful. I don't know what sort of specifications it has. Oh my god, I should have gotten a bigger bag for this. There we go. So now we're getting into slightly more interesting stuff here. So this is a bag of, well, they're all modems as far as I know. So pretty useless these days for dial-up modem-y kind of stuff. But even so, they're interesting for the nostalgia value. Maybe one day I'll find it's something that you can do with them, even if it is just make a bunch of beeps and whirs and things. And finally we have some a bunch of graphics cards. And again, so this is sort of all, as far as I've been able to tell, around about the sort of 2004 to 2010 kind of era, maybe XP era and a little bit later. A lot of these, the guy at the computer store was quite insistent that they were very good cards for the time. Especially this one, he made a special mention of the fact that this was a great card when it first came out. It's not an era that, honestly, I'm not that. I was doing other things than PC gaming back when these sort of cards came out, so I'm not really an expert in that era and what's good and what's not. I'll take his word for it that some of these are good. And as I said, I might have some use for them. This one looks like it's probably just a 2D card, nothing special, but yeah, so it's still quite nice to have these in case the use for them comes along, but yeah, it's not the sort of thing I'm likely to be working on in the near future. But then we get onto this other box. This is the box full of stuff I do have a little bit of a use for. Oh, hang on, I've put some stuff in here I've just realised that doesn't belong in here, that wasn't from the haul. Never mind. Here's a keyboard, so pre-Windows 95 key. So fairly old one, but with a PS2 connector. I am thinking of doing another keyboard video at some stage. Again, this is something the guy at the store made sure he mentioned to me just how special this is. Apparently he quite liked this keyboard, or this style, this model of keyboard back in the day. He said you can throw anything at it and it won't break. And look, the key feel is nice-ish. It feels a little bit funky, but it probably just needs a little bit of cleaning up. But I can see how it'd be quite a nice keyboard if you did sort of fix it up and clean it up. Here's another keyboard. I'm not sure what this one is. It's got the Windows 95, the Windows keys on it. It's an okay one. Feels nice, but nothing special there. But I always like keyboards, so that's why that one's in that box. Moving on, so here's something that shouldn't have gone in there. This is a CD-ROM that I bought elsewhere, but I'm planning on putting in a build. Never mind the rust, it apparently works, but we'll put that aside because that's not part of this build. Neither is this RAM, to be honest. Oh, there's CF adapter. But what shall I look at? I suppose, yeah, so here, this is a couple of, so now as opposed to modems, I'm hoping, yeah, so just some Ethernet adapters. These will come in useful. I'm hoping to do a bit of networking with some of my older computers at some stage. So then, as far as I can tell, they're nothing particularly special, but you know, they're network adapters and they can be useful. So I'll put that then back in the bag. Here, now here is something, 3 hard drives. 2 of these practically identical, very slightly different components, but the same capacity and everything. These are 8 gig, or nearly 8 gig. And don't mind that, that's just one of the partitions. Here's 3 gig on this one, and this one's a 4 gig one. So these ones, I've tested them. There's no problems with any of them. There's no bad sectors, no bad blocks on them. So I will be using one of these in the near future in a build. So keep an eye out if I do have a chance to actually upload videos. Keep an eye out. I'll be popping these in a future build. Just some ribbon cables for connecting things there. That's not important. Why have I got an empty one of these? This should really be, something should be in this. Pop that over there. Just a booklet and license for Windows 95. Didn't come with physical media, so this is one of these things. Obviously they would have, if a company or something bought the licenses for all their company machines to put Windows 95 on there, they'd often send them a pack of these things and probably like one install CD that they could use for all the machines. So it's kind of an interesting bit of history, but you know, not that useful really, given it's only, doesn't have any media in it per se. But yeah, still sort of nice to have, and an interesting piece of history. So this is the CD-ROM drive that actually came, that I got with this haul. And this is a 32 speed, which would be from about 98 or 99 or something. I can't see a date on here. There might be one, but I can't see it. that'll be about the right sort of date for it. Yes, and so this is one. It's almost frustrating getting this, because this so Avanta TNT2 M64 video card from 1996 there. 1996, did they make them in 96? I could have sworn that was later. Maybe that's some kind of serial code. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But the reason this is frustrating, on my Windows 98 machine a while ago, I bought basically exactly the same card as this. Certainly the same chipset, slightly different or different manufacturer, but otherwise exactly the same one. And I paid, I paid money for it. Wasn't the most expensive, but certainly I probably would have paid as much for that other video card to put in my Windows 98 machine as I did for this whole haul, possibly more. And then, all I really needed to do back then is just go down the road to my local computer guy and say, have you got any old video cards lying around? I would have gotten exactly the same one. Anyway, that's just the way these things go. It teaches me for dilly-dallying on doing something like that. But yeah, so this was quite a good card, and it's quite a good card in my Windows 98 machine too. So just debating whether I swap them out just for the sake of it. I don't know. Now, moving on to... two floppy drives there. Now, I thought that was a different floppy drive. No, these are just... So this one is the one that came out of this caddy over here, and this is a very late floppy drive from September 2007. I never actually knew they were still making floppy drives that late, but always good to have floppy drives. You never know when they're going to break. But finally, no, that's not the thing that I was after. No, well, I'll show you that too. Here we have a 16-bit network card as well that I might be able to pop in my 386 machine and to do a bit of networking. And the final bit that I'm perhaps the most excited about from this haul in certain ways, we have here a Trident video card. Oh, where's the... I swear it had a backplate. Looks like that's come off. It doesn't matter, I'll be able to find that. Anyway, it's a Trident TVGA 9000A video card. So this is quite an old one. Trident was never known for their high-performing video cards. That's why I've got the Tseng Labs video card in my 386 rather than a Trident, because the Tseng Labs performed really well. But what Trident is known for, and as far as I can tell, this model, very, very similar models definitely, and I'm sure this one as well, Trident is always known for very high compatibility. So not only can they emulate a lot of video modes on your computer, they can do the obligatory EGA and CGA obviously as well, and all the video modes that come with VGA, because it's a VGA card and that's what the standard asks for. But something that a lot of Trident cards do that a lot of other cards do not, but something that Trident cards do, and this is I'm pretty sure it's just a VGA, not an SVGA card, but one thing that a lot of Trident cards do, as you can see there's a lot of jumpers on here, you're able to actually change the jumper settings to effectively turn this into an 8-bit VGA card. So pop this in an 8-bit motherboard. So it'll only have this section of the connectors plugged in. This section's ignored, but it will run and you can use it. And that's a very useful thing to have when you're working on old computers, which hopefully I'll, again, another video in the future. I do have an old motherboard that I'm hoping to get up and running. And this will be quite a useful video card to test that one out to see if the motherboard even works to begin with. Hopefully this video card works, to be honest, but I don't see why it shouldn't. And yeah, so one of the reasons why that's quite useful is, well, for starters, I think it's fairly hard to find native 8-bit VGA cards. But also, if you decide to go the route of going an EGA or CGA or even MDA card, you're going that they don't have the same connectors here and the same protocols. EGA and CGA and MDA have different connectors here, different number of pins, different protocols. They're not compatible. You can't just put any monitor in them. So not only do you need the card, you need a special monitor to run those. So having a VGA card with this standard connector, monitors still come with this connector and this protocol these days. Very useful thing for trying out old 8-bit machines. So that's something I'm quite excited about. But other than that, for now, this video has gone long enough. That's my haul. I hope you enjoyed looking at it as much as I enjoyed getting it.